everyone, welcome back to Singly Loving. I'm Kate, and this month is the National Foster Care Awareness Month, which I think is just amazing that more people are hearing about what foster care entails, maybe dispelling some of those common myths about foster care or being able to answer some questions about what foster care is, helping people know how they can better support foster parents, maybe become one themselves, and that is all. That's what my channel is about too. So I just think it's so awesome that there's an entire month where foster parents and non-foster parents all over this country are just putting it all out there and letting people know what foster care is really about. So here at Singly Loving this month, every Saturday you're going to see a video with some prompts that I've been getting over on Instagram from some great people over there who are big advocates in the foster care, in the whole foster care space. I'm getting those prompts and I am answering some of those today because they are common questions, and I am answering them specifically from the perspective of a single foster parent. So if that interests you, please stick around. I would love to share with you some of my thoughts about foster care and being single and what it's like. So first things first, I will just say last week I misspoke and said that the prompt was for the day that I was posting in. It really wasn't, and so actually I missed a day. Anyways, if you saw last week's video, I hope you did, but if you didn't, go back and check it out. I think it was really great. I talked a lot about biofamilies. And so this week, one of the prompts was about visits. So I'll just briefly get into that. I'm gonna tell you what visits are like. So any family member, whether it's the biological parents or maybe it's an aunt or uncle, grandma, grandpa, or even a fictive kin, which is like a friend of the family who is looking to reunify with the child, gets to have a visit. And those visits are once a week, maybe twice a week. I haven't personally known of more than twice a week, but for especially little babies, they like to have the parents able to visit them more than once a week. So for example, the infants that I had visits twice a week with the people they were working on reunifying with. Those are really important for the child to stay connected. And I find also that it's a great connection for that bio parent, like for them to stay in this and stay in the really hard thing that they're doing. They really need to see their child and remember, you know, one of the big reasons why they're working so hard on fixing what it is in their life, healing whatever it is in their life, getting the help that they need. A big part of that is their kids, and they want to be healthy for their kids. So visits are a huge deal. I'll share a couple experiences as a single person. One is that no matter what the headache is, I try my hardest to be the one that either drops them off, picks them up, or both. In my agency, we can have transportation do that for us, which is a great service. Sometimes it's really helpful, and sometimes I need to use it, or I've needed to use it. But when I can, I want to be the one there that family member sees my face. They know who I am. Like I talked a lot about last week, I talked a lot about how getting to know the bio family is really helpful for everyone, and it kind of helps their heart settle about who's got their child, and it's a great chance to build a relationship. So yeah, visits are, you know, they're not that bad. They're a little bit inconvenient having to stop what you're doing. I haven't found, at least in our agency, that they really ask me what works for me. They have the bio family pick a time that's available for the agency, for the visitation center at our agency, and then I am told that's when I need to bring the child. So that's just one of the many things in foster care that can be inconvenient as the foster parent, but it is well worth it, and it's good for the child overall, for their bonding and remembering, just having those points of connection with their bio family. Another thing about visits is that visits continue until the case hits the stage of a permanent custody trial and the parent's rights being revoked. And then also an important thing to know is that if a parent files an objection on the case, then visits will restart until, again, those rights are completely terminated. My agency, I'm really thankful because they supervise visits, and like I said, they'll do transportation. It's at a visitation center. But one thing I was actually thinking is asking if I could be the one that stays and supervises a visit. I just wonder if that might be better for kids in some situations, to have that person that they have that long-term connection with being there, and feel that safety while they are navigating this relationship with a biological parent as well. Another thing that I really love about being single and having, like, showing my face at visits is that I get a chance for them to get to know me. And I have found in my experience that whoever the biofamily is, getting to know that I am a single mom doing this and loving their kids. And in some cases, I have been single just like the biofamily that is looking to reunify. It's a really cool point of connection that leads to great conversation. I hope the family member finds it encouraging to see a single person just like them doing this and loving on their kids. And so anyway, that's just a little fun thing I think about being single. It's not like, hey, I've got it all together, I'm this perfect family, like I can do this so much better than you. No, I have so much privilege that has allowed me to be in a healthy spot in my life. And I want that to be I want to transfer all that grace onto them and encourage them as much as I can that you can do this. It's going to be hard. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to be worth it, and you can do it. So that's just my 2 cents on visits. Okay, and don't forget that if you don't follow me over on Instagram, go ahead and go follow me, because I am answering these prompts every day over there, and I'm just going to answer a few of them today here on YouTube, because otherwise this would be way too long. But if you want to see them every day for 31 days through May, follow me over on Instagram, Singly Loving. I'll put it somewhere down right below my face. Okay. Anyway, the next prompt from Instagram that I'm going to be talking about is a time that I wanted to give up. This is really hard for me to talk about. Like it even feels like hard to figure out how to even start this conversation. I'm going to talk a little bit about this thing of what's called disruptions in the foster care world. I am so thankful for foster parents that have gone before me, who've been doing this for years, who have had countless numbers of kids in their homes, who've been through heartbreak, who've been through the amazing healing that can happen through foster care. But it really hurts to say I have a story of disruption. It even took me a while to really realize and admit that's what that was, what happened. But basically I went through something really hard in my life, and to be completely transparent with just a small part of that very hard thing, it was a breakup. And foster care is hard on relationships. I'll just say that. It's hard on relationships, whether you're married, have already kids in the home, you don't, your friendships, your significant other. It's hard on relationships, and it was really hard on this particular relationship that I had. It was at the very beginning of my foster care journey, and I went through this breakup, and it was extremely, everything in my life just felt super overwhelming, and the case seemed like it was going to permanency, and I didn't feel like I was going to be able to, I couldn't see a day in front of my life at this point. And so, I asked my agency to help me create a plan for a transition for the child. And it was, overall, big picture, I will say it turned into a really hard and beautiful and messy and a strange relationship I never thought that I'd have in my life. But it's good. It's good. And sometimes just disruptions happen, and maybe somebody listening to this needs to hear that. Maybe you are in a place that it's going to take more than just help to get through it. It might be that child needs a different home for some reason. And I mentioned this over on Instagram when I talked about this topic in a little bit shorter pieces. But it's okay. And you'll get through it. You'll get through that disruption. And sometimes it is the best thing for everybody involved, and we're already working in a really, really messy space of foster care. It's not ideal. In a disruption, it's not ideal. But as foster parents, just remember we're trying to do the absolute best we can with a really, really hard situation. And so yeah, like if disruption is something that the case comes to, like for me, I just had to really pray that it was going to be the best for that child in the end. And it's great. Like I get to sit here and say I really do think the best thing is happening for that child in the end, but it was extremely hard. I don't call it giving up. It had nothing to do with the child, so I don't feel like it was giving up. But it was a giving up of the dream of foster care. I really thought I was going to be done at that point completely with foster care. It just felt like too much, and I just thought, oh, I couldn't do it single. It's not going to work. It's going to ruin every relationship I ever have again, and it was a really hard time. But that was about 2 years ago now, and I'm in a completely different space. So yeah, that's when I wanted to give up. A really hard thing to talk about. And the last thing I'm going to talk about today briefly is court. Court. So this case that I have now is the first time that I have gotten to go to court. And it is so interesting. Court is so interesting. Like, it was intimidating. I am so glad there was another foster parent there with me who's been to court before, because my kiddos have siblings, and it was like super intimidating, but also very interesting because you learn things about the case that you didn't know before. Maybe it's because the caseworker didn't think to tell you. Maybe it's because another caseworker had the case. Like my kiddos have had multiple caseworkers. And so each of them had to testify, and I learned different things from all of them. It was super interesting. And then there's different lawyers for the different people involved, and they might bring up interesting pieces of information through questions that they ask. And I did testify briefly at court, and it was terrifying, but you know, you just tell the truth. At some parts it's hard to, like, I don't know, remember things from like the very beginning of the case, where I've mentioned before, like I run on adrenaline like in those first few months, and I'm like, oh yeah, what behaviors have I seen, or you know, what did I hear from the caseworker, or you know, different things. And that was the only thing I was really nervous about, that I would just like forget in the moment. But yeah, overall super interesting. And it's important that we show up at court. It's important that we show up for family members that might be there. I think they need to see us as much as they can, to see us fighting for their kids as much as they want to fight for their kids, whether they're successful at accomplishing their goals or not. Like, just think about from their perspective how much they would want to see that whoever maybe does get their children through adoption eventually, or whoever does have their children for this time, they want to see those people fighting for their kids. They love their kids. So it's important we show up for them. It's important we show up for the kids. One day I'm gonna talk to my boys, or talk to whatever kids I have. When they're at the right age, I'm gonna talk to them about the important parts of their story, so that they know their entire story. And I want to be able to say that I was there in court, and I know as much as I can about their story, so that they can know as much as they can about their story. And yeah, so court, super interesting. Go if you can. I want to try to go to as many court cases as I can, but I will say that you're always allowed to go. It's not always important that you're there. It's the court process is not, you don't always learn important things. You don't always, you're never really going to learn anything. You're not always going to learn something at the court case, but for those big trials, like a permanent custody hearing, for example, or a pre-trial hearing and things like that, highly recommend that you go and learn what you can for your kiddos and their biofamily's sake. Thanks for watching today. If you want to see more videos like this, or some common questions answered about foster care, I have tons of videos and you can check them out. Be sure to click on any links that you see in this description box below. If you click the little caret down, you'll see the description box. And yeah, follow me on Instagram and go follow some of the other people that I recommend. They are amazing advocates for foster care. All right, see you guys in the next one. Bye.